Okay, in the previous exercise, we got started taking a look at Photoshop's preferences, and in this exercise, we'll finish off our walk through the Photoshop preferences. So we just finished talking about the performance category here. I'm going to head down now to cursors. Now, as soon as we start working with the different Photoshop tools that we have available to us, we will get different cursors showing up on screen. So we have our painting cursors and we have other cursors, basically two categories here. And what we can do is we can decide on the cursor that we want to have display inside our document. Maybe you're sitting here going, well, who cares? What's the big deal? But some people like to come in here and set this up. Now, I usually leave the normal brush tip, and this is the preview that we would have there. Now, what I like about the normal brush tip is as I increase my brush size, the cursor is also going to increase in size. And you'll see this later on, but maybe instead I want to switch to precise, which is going to give me this crosshair, or standard, which gives me just the tool icon itself. So again, it's entirely up to you. I'm just going to stick with the normal brush tip here, and same goes for the other cursors as well. You can go standard or precise. It's really up to you. Okay, wonderful. Let's head down to transparency and gamut. The default transparency view, or the default manner in which Photoshop indicates transparency to us, is with this gray and white checkerboard pattern. And I would highly recommend that you leave the default here because most Photoshop users leave the default. And if you're working with coworkers who are also running Photoshop, you go and change yours. That could cause confusion when you're communicating between each other. But anyway, you can come in here and change it if you want. You can change your grid colors if you want. Maybe you want green and white or orange and white, or you can go and customize the actual colors that are being used by clicking on these color swatches. And then below that we have our gamut warning, and there's the default color there, this sort of this darker gray color. Okay, let's kind of speed things up here and finish things off. Units and rulers. I'm going to make sure that my unit of measurement, for whatever reason, Photoshop has defaulted to centimeters here for myself anyway. I'm going to make sure that I'm on inches. That's a little bit easier to use, at least here in North America. My unit of measurement for type, I'm going to make sure that's set to points as well. Below that, we have guides, grid, and slices. I'm going to leave all the defaults here, but my guides, the default color for guides is cyan. Smart Guides is magenta. We'll talk about working with guides and working with your grid a little bit later on, but there's our color for our grid, which is currently set to a custom color. I'll leave that, and we can set up the grid lines and the subdivisions there as well. Really quickly here, if we have any additional plugins, one of the great things about Photoshop is we can extend the capabilities of Photoshop by adding in some plugins, perhaps plugins from Alien Skin, or there's a lot of third-party vendors that are creating some amazing plugins. So we can come in here and specify our additional plugins folder, go and browse for it and set it up that way. I'll just cancel out of all that. And then finally we have type, use smart quotes, enable missing glyph protection, and so on. And then last but not least, we have 3D. So if you want to get into working with some of the 3D options here inside Photoshop. So I know it was brief. I know we didn't go through every single possible option inside the preferences, but again, if we were to do that, you would be fast asleep and I would be babbling on about things that really don't enhance the way that we're going to work with Photoshop on an everyday usage. So again, as we go along, I may pop into the preferences and change a few things up, but I think for now we'll stick with the defaults. I did change my unit of measurement there. I think that was the only setting that I changed. I went from centimeters to inches, but other than that, I think we are good to go here. So go ahead and click on OK. That locks in any changes that you made, and we are good to go from here.